In a world where insanity reigns supreme and safety pin manufacturers are running out of metal for the diapers of the leftists, it's comforting to know an ancient, fat, long-haired, bearded reprobate has your mind in mind. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California, and despite every attempt by the SHR Media Network to revoke his shameless contract, we return to the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon.
You're listening to Late Night Radio on the SHR Media Network. Caution, there will be mature themes explored and potentially adult language used. If conservatarian words, phrases, certain concepts, or rhetoric offends you, tune out now.
Uh-oh, guess what day it is? Guess what day it is? Huh? Anybody? Julie, hey, guess what day it is? Oh, come on, I know you can hear me. Mike. What day is it, Mike?
Oh, you magnificent bastard, I read your book.
I drink your milkshake.
How dare you?
I call that bold talk for a one-eyed fat man.
Fill your hand, you son of a bitch!
Of course you realize this means war.
Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it on to our children in the bloodstream. The only way they can inherit the freedom we have known is if we fight for it, protect it, defend it, and then hand it to them with the well-taught lessons of how they in their lifetime must do the same. And if you and I don't do this, then you and I may well spend our sunset years telling our children and our children's children what it once was like in America when men were free.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubblegum.
Good morning, good day, good evening. I have good news, and I have bad news. So there's good and bad. I love this song. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to BZ's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show, where I'm broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California, always spelled with a K. A mere 2 miles east of the locus of evil on the entire left coast. The Bill Mill, the belly of the beast, the Capitol building in downtown Sacramento at 10th and L Streets, where late at night you can hear the death of common sense and its concomitant wail as it wafts from that putrefying edifice. And at the end of the show, when I exit the plush, resplendent, sumptuous, and palatial SHR Media studios, I'll be smelling the odoriferous stench of sulfur and brimstone and evil emanating from that downtown Sacramento building. Be forewarned, what you're about to hear for the next 2 hours is my opinion and my opinion only. Fear porn has gripped this nation. But I am still serving drinks. Fact, history, logic, rationality, proportion, context, tradition, intent, and common sense out the back door and occasionally in the front door. Plus, now I have declared my saloon, of course, an autonomous zone. And I gotta tell you, we don't water our drinks, just like we don't water our conversation. Politics, religion, crime, culture, economics, race, sex, science, law. We talk about it all right here at the saloon, where the speech is free, but the booze is not. This is 2020, soon to be 2021. I am done with bipartisanship or compromise. This is the new age, modern political warfare, because make no mistake, we are at war. Got some great guests tonight for the entire show. So let me tell you how things are going to go. This is going to be my last show for the week. I'm not going to be doing anything on Thursday because, quite frankly, who is? It's Christmas Eve. And then next Thursday is New Year's Eve, and I'm not going to be doing anything then. So my last show, if you want to get in it, because I think it's, Didn't you folks just get tired of politics after a while? Aren't you at the end of this year politicked out? Me too. So I thought, you know what? Whiskey Dale says, jiggle the damn handle. Dale, you know why I don't say that anymore? I fixed the toilet. I fixed the toilet, which is an amazing thing. Anyway, next Tuesday night, programming note. I'm not going to be talking about politics. I'll go at least an hour. I want everybody to call in because all I want to talk about, and I'll give you my stories, all I want to talk about is dogs, pets, cats, animals, how much they are important in our lives. And I'm going to open up all the phones. If nobody calls, I'll tell you about my stuff and what happened with me recently. And then we'll call it a day for 2020 right after that. Tonight, however, I have two great grande individuals. I have Jeremy Hanson of Unleashed. Jeremy Hanson, good evening to you, sir. Are you there?
I'm here. How are you doing?
Okay, good. Let me turn that up. It's a little low. The volume is a little low. A little lower than what we were talking earlier. And I have KATE KRUSZEWSKI on the line. Kate, are you there?
I am. Hello.
Okay. All right. I told everybody, I may as well tell you guys, Kate and I were speaking earlier. Of course, I'm going to denigrate myself. Come on. Kate said, what are you laughing at? Kate, I forgot my manners. Damn it, Jim, I forgot my manners. Okay, welcome in chat in SHR Media chat. But folks, if you want to get into the chat room, this is only one I look at. Even though I'm on Facebook, I can't type in Facebook. So I suggest you come over to shrmedia.com, shrmedia.com, where all the folks are in the chat room. So in that chat room, welcome to Sergeant Booker, welcome to the Alaskan, welcome to Real Mike Pasqua, welcome to Whiskey Dale Guest 2412, who is infinitely better than that stupid Guest 2411, who I kicked their ass out of here and they're not coming back, and one viewer. So welcome to all you folks to chat. Anyway, I was talking to Kate earlier today before the show, and I said, I wonder if there's any way I'm going to call you on the phone, but I just have a problem with volume. And Kate said, and this is a quote now, why don't you use Skype? What? Kate had a great idea. So I said something similar to, wait, are you expecting me to put Skype on my phone, which is technology, and figure out how to do it? Well, after 4 or 5 or 6 abandoned calls and about 45 minutes later, I went outside. Honest to God, I went outside to look for a 5-year-old on the street, on the sidewalk, couldn't find one, had to come inside, try to figure it out for myself. And I did. And now I am actually speaking to Kate on Skype. And I warned her, I threatened her. I said, Kate, you'll probably come in better and stronger than Jeremy. I just get this feeling because your volume is not up all the way on the slider on the board. So, and she proved me right. So what I hope to do, and Jeremy, how are you, sir, tonight?
I'm doing good tonight. How about you?
Okay, excelente. That's Spanish for excellent, if you didn't already know, folks. I am multi-fluent in numeroso, that's also Spanish, languages, and I'll throw that in there occasionally just to see if you're listening, Tonight, oh my God, I've got so much to talk about, but something was just recently brought to my attention. We're going to be talking about 2020, all the things that have occurred in 2020, and recently in 2020. And we're also going to be talking about possible potential prognostications about 2021. Just as I arrived in the studio tonight, Sergeant Booker in chat says, you also speak District 6. For those of you not aware of speaking District 6, I speak, or at least I can interpret leftists and people that speak Richard Pryor, because that's how far back I go. That's how far back I go. I speak Richard Pryor before he burned up, and then he died. Anyway, I was made aware of this. It kind of changed the texture of the whole show. If you reach your hand out right now, just feel the texture of the show like that. Remember, it felt kind of silky a little bit. There you go. I can see your hands doing that. Hey, be careful with that other hand. I see what you're doing there. Anyway, the texture of the show has now changed because what? Because now Sackhead Sean made me aware of something that changes everything. And I'm really glad of it. And I decided, you know what? Alaskan says in chat, just as long as 2021 doesn't say, hold my beer, we should be better. We'll get to that. This just came out. This, to me, it's 4 minutes and 9 seconds, which is really weird because 409 used to be my unit number when I was in warrants. That's just kind of weird. This is 4 minutes and 9 seconds of buttery goodness, buttery political goodness. Just came out, and I gotta play it for you. This is so great.
Throughout the summer, Democrats cruelly blocked COVID relief legislation in an effort to advance their extreme left-wing agenda and influence the election. Then, a few months ago, Congress started negotiations on a new package to get urgently needed help to the American people. It's taken forever. However, the bill they are now planning to send back to my desk is much different than anticipated. It really is a disgrace. For example, among the more than 5,000 pages in this bill, which nobody in Congress has read because of its length and complexity, it's called the COVID Relief Bill, but it has almost nothing to do with COVID. This bill contains $85.5 million for assistance to Cambodia, $134 million to Burma, $1.3 billion for Egypt and the Egyptian military, which will go out and buy almost exclusively Russian military equipment, $25 million for democracy and gender programs in Pakistan, $505 million to Belize, Costa Rica, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, Nicaragua, and Panama. $40 million for the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C., which is not even open for business. $1 billion for the Smithsonian, and an additional $154 million for the National Gallery of Art. Likewise, these facilities are essentially not open. $7 million for reef fish management, $25 million to combat Asian carp, $2.5 million to count the number of amberjack fish in the Gulf of Mexico, a provision to promote the breeding of fish in federal hatcheries, $3 million in poultry production technology, $2 million to research the impact of down trees, $566 million for construction projects at the FBI. The bill also allows stimulus checks for the family members of illegal aliens, allowing them to get up to $1,800 each.
No.
This is far more than the Americans are given. Despite all of this wasteful spending and much more, the $900 billion package provides hardworking taxpayers with only $600 each in relief payments. And not enough money is given to small businesses, and in particular restaurants, whose owners have suffered so grievously. They were only given a deduction for others to use in business their restaurant for 2 years. This 2-year period must be withdrawn, which will allow the owners to obtain financing and get their restaurants back in condition.
Hell yeah.
Congress can terminate it at a much later date, but 2 years is not acceptable. It's not enough. Congress found plenty of money for foreign countries, lobbyists, and special interests, while sending the bare minimum to the American people who need it. It wasn't their fault. It was China's fault. Not their fault. I am asking Congress to amend this bill and increase the ridiculously low $600 to $2,000 or $4,000 for a couple. I am also asking Congress to immediately get rid of the wasteful and unnecessary items from this legislation and to send me a suitable bill, or else the next administration will have to deliver a COVID relief package, and maybe that administration will be me, and we will get it done. Thank you very much.
I gotta tell you, this is glorious. This is absolutely glorious. Thank you to Sackhead Sean for making me aware of this. Jeremy and Kate, I'd like your thoughts on just this speech, please.
Go ahead, Kate.
Thank you, Jeremy. Thank you for having me on, BZ. I believe that Trump is going to be our next president. And I also, well, I know that he's already vetoed this package. And what do I think of this? I think it is absolutely fabulous. This is the only president in a very long time that has a backbone and a spine that isn't afraid to stand up to the left and say, What are your thoughts, Jeremy?
Well, I'll tell you, Donald Trump is brilliant. He comes out, he tells all of America, hey, this is what's going on, and this is the type of pork, this is the type of crap that they were trying to take away from you. And then what he does, so they don't try to override the veto, is he says, I want to give the American people at least $2,000 a piece or $4,000 a couple. Therefore, he just hung a dumbbell over them in case they tried to override his veto, and the American people can be pissed off at them instead of him.
Oh, hell yeah.
I loved it.
That's called belling the cat, if you've never heard of that before, folks. This is something, let me ask you guys again, isn't this something that you wish that every other president had said before during negotiations of this kind? And where have those presidents been? Where you stand in front of the American people, you delineate what's in the bill, especially a budget like this, and you go, here's what's good, not much, and here's the bullshit inside of it. This and this and this and this, especially in the time of Wuhan 19 where people need some help. I tell you, we'll get into the extraneous GURP that was in there because I actually wrote it down. So that kind of negates what I was thinking about that, but we will get to that. Isn't it past time for a president to stand in front of us, particularly now, and say, do you understand how politicians have screwed you over, and this is what they value more than you, Americans? They value, and then he lists them all. He lists them all. How do you fight that? 'Cause it's true. It's true. Jeremy? Kate?
Well, Ted Cruz also came out. He expounded on what was in this bill. Like Ted Cruz said, there's money in here to research how to take your Second Amendment away. There's also not money in here for this. And I believe that that's the politician's job. They're supposed to tell us those things. And then it's guys like me and you, BC, that are supposed to be out there saying, hey, listen, American people, you're getting screwed. You are getting bent over with no Vaseline, and this is why. And explain it to the people so they understand. Maybe we can even get people to understand line item bills because of this. I don't know, just my thoughts.
I was talking to Sackhead Sean. I'll go over this in just a second, but you're right, Jeremy. Ted Cruz, Senator Ted Cruz of Texas, was one of 6 senators who voted against the relief package. I believe the other one was Rand Paul. And he said in a statement that COVID-19 relief was tied to wasteful end-of-year spending and numerous pet projects. Let me see if I have... No, I don't have the video. I haven't found the video yet. The audio yet. I'll keep searching for that. Now, you knew Rand Paul was going to go there, and I'm glad to see that Ted Cruz went there. But haven't you, in your lives, folks, wanted a president to come to you, to speak to you, and say, this is what's in the bill, this is what is wrong, and this is why I'm not going to sign the bill? I think this is absolutely stellar. This is a wonderful, wonderful thing. So what?
Well, he is also opening it up for the timeline for the Congress to actually be able to read the bill. Because if you look at what Pelosi did, is she had her little disciples vote that even the 48 hours to give Congress the amount of time to actually read the 6,000 pages, they voted to take that away for this particular bill. So nobody actually read the 6,000 pages of what this is.
Well, it's
so what Trump did was just open the door, opened the door for everyone to be able to read this and see what is actually in this package.
I'll get into the details, kind of what President Trump did. So that $900 billion stimulus package that was pushed through by Pelosi, she got basically half of what President Trump proffered a couple of months earlier. But all that was refused by Her Highness. So back in October, if you guys remember, Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin said Congress is unlikely to enact economic relief legislation before the November 3rd election. True. Because, and this was true also, and proven true, I have the audio, because Nancy Pelosi-led Democrats don't want to deliver anything that President Donald Trump could portray to voters as a win. They hung you all out to dry rather than give you any stimulus. And then you learn what's in this package. So Pelosi held up money which could have been distributed months prior because she enjoyed playing politics with literally the lives of Americans. And she said so in a statement. She said there's a new president, so she's willing to deal. Why? Because, again, like I say, she couldn't afford to give Trump a win before the election. Well, it's after the election, and just like she said, there's a new president in town.
It's getting a coronavirus deed, and you can't. If you are on the president, on before that. Okay. But what shifted, in your opinion, when the Problem Solvers Caucus had a much larger bill a few months ago? You did not like that piece of legislation. What has shifted now when they're on board with this piece that's come out of the Senate?
Perhaps you missed what I said earlier. Joe Biden committed to ending and crushing the virus and having a Build a Better America initiative, Build Back Better, a vaccine. Answer to our prayers, an answer to our prayers of 95% effectiveness in terms of Pfizer and Moderna, and there may be others coming forward. That is a total game changer.
Sure it is. Kate, Jeremy, who's responsible for the vaccine?
Trump.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm not a big fan of the vaccine.
No, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. But the point is what she's making in refutation of the point she's attempting to make. She's trying to give the Democrats credit for something that Trump did.
That's true.
A new president.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jeremy.
Oh, I was just going to say, I wanted to say thank you to Tulsi Gabbard. She had some balls.
She did.
The Democrat Party came out and said, I'm not voting for this. And then she did the same thing. She actually explained why it was a slap in the face to Americans. And I appreciate that. You know, even being me apolitical, tend to lean conservative, I was like, God, it feels nice to have a politician. It was greater from what Trump did. But Tulsi Gabbard doing that, man, you have to have a pair of balls to do what she did, and thank you very much.
Boy, is that true. I think she made 2 videos out of all of that. Let's see if I can find this. There's an ad loading, of course. I did locate it. Sackett Shad sent to me before he left for Chow, he's going to go get pizza, that she's one of only a handful of Democrats left that are voting or advertising or saying what they really think. And there's she is, here it is. I found it. Okay. She's a refreshing breath of fresh air. Let's see if I can pull this up.
Hey, everybody. I just got back from having voted on the House floor on this massive spending bill. I voted against it, and I wanted to tell you why. First of all, this bill was over 5,500 pages long. We received the text of this bill at approximately 2:30 this afternoon, and we're told we'd have to go and vote on it just a few hours later. There is no way that anybody in Congress had the opportunity or the time to go through and read this bill to know exactly what was in it. I've been here long enough to see how provisions are snuck into these bills literally in the dark of night without any announcement, without telling anyone what is in it, and then rushed through in the manner that we have just seen tonight. This is the height of irresponsibility, and it is absolutely no way for the people's representatives to be able to represent the interests of the American people. The second thing is the central part of this bill was supposed to be about providing direct COVID relief to the American people who are struggling and who need help the most. This bill dished out hundreds of billions of dollars going towards special interests, going towards the military-industrial complex, going towards foreign countries, meanwhile saying, here's what's left for you. You get $600. I'll tell you, in Hawaii, that in most cases won't even cover 25% of your rent. It is an insult and a slap in the face to every single American in this country who is struggling because of this COVID pandemic, who is concerned about not being able to pay the rent, about eviction, about whether you'll have enough to buy groceries or medicine for yourself or your loved ones. This bill is a representation of the screwed up priorities of Washington. They should be fighting for you and making sure that you, the American people, come first. This bill did not do that.
And that's a funny kind of thing because she's damning Democrats with very, very faint praise. And I find it interesting because, of course, I get it. She's got to stand up for the caucus. But essentially what she was addressing, like Jeremy pointed out, she was addressing the Democrats. And the only people that objected of a major way were her and a couple of senators. Well, 6 in all, but I don't know their names. But again, that's one of the reasons that she's absolutely despised in her caucus. Then, I'm sorry, go ahead. Did you have something to say, Jeremy or Kate?
Well, I do, about her, and I think that this illustrates for us vividly what's going on with Mitch McConnell and John Thune. John Thune, the guy the whip that ran around and told all the senators, vote for this, vote for this. There's so much needed stuff in there. $700 million to Sudan. We got to make sure that they get trained over there, and we got to make sure that the transgender stuff goes over to Pakistan. Do it. The same guy that has now said that if Donald Trump tries to overturn the elections, this is his words, it will go down like a shot dog. That's who's pushing for this bill.
You unearthed a story earlier today, Jeremy Hanson, which I will go into later. You found that story, and you know which one I'm talking about. You found that story from 2019, and when I read that story, and I'm giving you entire credit for having found that, once I get to that story, you folks will understand completely a lot about what's happening in D.C. with one particular individual that we're thinking about. I'm going to go to a break, be about a minute and a half, maybe 2 minutes. Now's the time to empty your bladder, go get an adult beverage, and I will be back right after this.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Hey, are you guys listening? This is Shannon from Right Way with Shannon and Mike in the AM on SHR Media. I know you've been wondering where we are and what's been going on. Well, folks, that's right. We're back. So please join us 7 to 9 a.m. Monday through Thursday on SHR Media, on Spreaker, iHeartRadio, and Spotify, and Facebook Live at 11 a.m. on Right Way with Shannon and Mike in the AM at Facebook. You don't want to miss a minute. We've got lots of guests, lots of segments, and lots of interesting things. And let's face it, there's nowhere for you to go, so you might as well tune in. Again, Right Way with Shannon and Mike in the AM. We're back live on the air on SHR Media, 7 to 9 a.m. Monday through Thursday, audio and Facebook Live, audio and video. Yes, we are going to do video. Facebook Live, Right Way with Shannon and Mike in the AM. Hope to see you soon.
Unleashed Jeremy Hanson, the most explosive pro-American podcast on the planet. Pro-MAGA, pro-Trump, pro-conservative. Come join the resistance. Fight for what really matters in America. 5 p.m. Central on UJHLive.com, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, Pandora, or MAGAbook.com. Come join the resistance and fight for America. Unleashed Jeremy Hanson.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
And we're back. I am BZ, the bloviating Zeppelin. Welcome to the Saloon. This is the last show before Christmas. Tonight, my great guests are KATE KRUSZEWSKI and Jeremy Hanson. Not necessarily in that order, one each. Please, some contents may have settled during shipping. We're going to be talking to them about 2020, 2021, and Jeremy made a great revelation about a story that I was completely unaware of that we're going to get to in a moment. But some of the things that occurred made me go back to some of my political axioms. And I'm going to read these for you, both Jeremy and KATE, and I'd like your comments on them, and then if you would add anything to this. I thought this would clear up an assload of crap in D.C., specifically for this situation now that we're seeing with the stimulus package. These are sort of BZ's political axioms. The first one is goose and gander. It deals with the goose and gander. I call it the Equal Application Act. Every federal law created applies to every federal employee, no matter their age, no matter their sex, job, their title, their position, or hours. No federal employee or contractor will be exempted from any federal law, not politicians, not judges, not clerks, not lobbyists in federal employ. No exemptions for anyone, period. You either apply the law in a blanket fashion or you don't consider it at all. What's good for the American people should be good for everybody. The second thing that I thought would change D.C. markedly is revolting attorneys, the Tort Reform Act. 2 words, loser pays. Everything. You want a chilling effect on all the crap that's going on? Okay, let's talk about the chilling effect. There, now we have. Next one, number 3. Truth? I don't need no stinking truth. This is the Transparency in Bills Act. And this is what I reference here. Desperately that we need. The Transparency in Bills Act. Each bill is going to have one fundamental topic. 1. No writers. No confusion. No attachments. No hanging something about military funding on a bill about ducks and geese. No trying to slide something stupid or surreptitiously through some kind of a bland bill. 1 bill, 1 topic, period. And then number 4 is the we can't move our cash around anymore. I call it the Truth in Budgets Act. Monies acquired through a given bill are going to be held for only that bill. No more moving or stealing or shipping cash through in the dead of night from one topic or fund or account to another. Encumbered funds for one bill are going to remain in a given account. No stealing from Peter to pay Paul. Taxpayers expect you to fill in the blank with that cash. They don't want you to fund a bill for, blind, gay Estonian monopod dwarves just because. Oh, like California does all the time. And the fifth one is the send me back to where. I call it the E-Verify Act. Boy, do we need that. Every employer has to use, this isn't a suggestion, every employer will have to use E-Verify from a small business to every mega corporation. If an individual isn't a lawful resident of the United States, they shouldn't be employed. You want to impact wall building, try minimizing the necessity for building that wall in the first place. When illegals can't profit from draining America, guess what happens? Yeah, America gets less drained. What an astounding revelation. So let's do something unique. Let's try keeping America's cash in America. Such concepts. I've been trying to think of more, any that you guys, either Jeremy or Kate, would suggest that we add to clean up America.
Are you thinking? Go ahead, Jeremy.
You touched on a really big one that nobody talks about: tort reform.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll give you an example. Right now, employers can mandate that you take the shot. They can mandate it, and if anything happens to you because of that shot, you have no legal remedy to go after them because you took a shot to take your job, even though it was against your constitutional rights of, maybe it was religion, whatever it may be. There is absolutely no way that you can get any sort of satisfaction or remedy because the government said, well, too bad. It happens all the time, bad cars, bad toys. I would love to see tort reform where we opened it up to all the governors, all the senators. I would love for the people to be able to sue their representation or supposed representation for lack of duty and or flat-out fraud.
Oh,
I think that Trump was going for that when he said, you need to make these people sign a contract. I think that's where he was going with that.
Okay, I'm not sure. Let's see if I can find this. I recommended this a while ago. I don't know if you know. Well, a lot of politicians recently have been pointing and trying to remove and I think this is what you're talking about, Jeremy, to remove qualified immunity from cops. So qualified immunity means generally the standard is such that what would a reasonable cop do? And if you remove qualified immunity, then you can still sue them, but the agency will kind of take the brunt of that. My first thought was remove.
I would like to see the cops protected, but not the politicians.
Remove. That was my point. Remove qualified. Do you guys know? Politicians have qualified immunity. Blanket qualified immunity, and my suggestion was remove that. If somehow you can get that done, and the big problem is judges, because then the next step they'll think is we'll be pointing at them, so they'll be the big piece of poop in the punch bowl, so to speak. But my additional thought is remove qualified immunity from politicians. They have no consequences. And 2020, sadly, is the year of no consequences for anybody except normal human beings and American taxpayers like you and me.
Well, what Jeremy brought up about the shot, the vaccine, is what a lot of people do not understand or know is that what is really going on in the United Kingdom is a lot of neurological issues with this vaccine. And I've tried to tell people for the last 9 months, do not get the vaccine, because from a neuroscience standpoint, we do not know what the neurological effects will be with this vaccine. And everything is coming true with the research that I've done, and I am a neuroscientist. I have the credentials to prove it, and people look at me and say, you cannot, or you are not who they, I do not know how to say this. If you go against their narrative, you don't know what you're talking about. So I stand alone against my colleagues, standing and saying, we do not know what's going to happen neurologically if you take this shot. Now we have human guinea pigs. They're taking the shot, and there is irreparable neurological damage.
Well, I call it the brand new car effect. And that's this. Any thinking human being, when they go out to potentially purchase an automobile, unless you just don't know about this, you will in a moment. No one really, if they're thinking, will go out and buy the very first model year of a new car. Because you don't know what the problems are. Let the new purchasers find out what that is. And then the corollary, KATE KRUSZEWSKI, from, oh God, I forgot to even do this. Damn it, Jim.
You're so fired.
I know, I'm so fired. I am so fired for not doing this. Jeremy Hanson, you have a show. Tell us about your show. I am so sorry for not originally doing this about a half hour ago. I am so sorry.
I'm not worried about it. I have a show. It's called Unleash Jeremy Hanson. We talk about apolitical politics, which means getting rid of the bullshit from the Republican side and the Democrat side and looking at it from the people's perspective. It comes on 5 o'clock on Spreaker. I'm on iHeart and iTunes. I'm not on Spotify. They deemed it necessary to kick me off because of my political views, and that's okay. But, yeah, there's that show, and, I'm going to be starting Hanson Cast, which is going to be video. BC kind of pushed me into it, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, I know. I'm also the guy that got you removed from Spotify, aren't I?
Yes.
I am responsible for that.
But you know what? I've ran into a lot of people that have been kicked off Spotify since, and I'm kind of proud to be in that club, if you know what I mean.
And KATE KRUSZEWSKI. Now, I've had you on the show a couple of times. You've made some startling revelations, which is a story for another day. But tell folks about your page, what it's about, and then you have a show also.
I do have a show. I started a page where we are all one big family, Survive, Thrive, and Stay Alive on Facebook, which we are switching over to Megabook here real soon.
Oh, okay.
Which is a survival group where we talk about only survival issues, survive, thrive, stay alive, the old-fashioned ways of doing things all the way to the newfangled gear that is out there, and how to use each item. And my show is Around the Campfire with Kate on PSN Radio. I am also on Spotify. I'm a newbie, so they haven't disqualified me from Spotify yet. I talk about like the first. I'm sorry, what, Jeremy?
I said it's coming. Don't worry.
Yeah.
It's coming. Like the first 20 minutes of the show is usually the news, the most important news that I have just received, like in the last day or so, that the mainstream media has not received yet. And usually when I report on it, the mainstream media won't touch it until 3 or 4 days later, which I find that very interesting, if they touch it at all. And then after that, it is an hour show on Thursday nights and Sunday nights. After the first 20 minutes of the news, I break down survival issues, what you can do, how to get past the gridlock, what to do, how to build a basic bug-out bag or a go bag for your vehicle. Like I said, I'm new to radio, so I'm learning how not to do a lot of the notes and stuff. I'm taking lessons from Jeremy. I love listening to Unleash Jeremy Hanson because I don't hear him flipping notes. He goes off by the top of his head, and I admire that because he flows.
Damn it, where's my notes?
I know, right? But I am on...
Oh, there they are.
I am on live PSN radio, live Twitch, live Facebook, live YouTube, and 8 p.m. Thursdays and Sunday nights, Eastern Time.
So you guys are really, really busy. Thanks for being here tonight. I really appreciate it. I've got a clip about, let's see, Cocaine Mitch, do you have anything to say?
Well, Dana, the facts are not irrelevant. I said back in July what the country needed was a package roughly $1 trillion focused on kids in school, small businesses, healthcare providers, and direct cash payments. We tried to pass, we started advocating that in July and August. The talks were unproductive. So I essentially put that bill on the floor of the Senate in both September and October. Not a single Democrat supported it. Their view was, give us everything we want or we won't give you anything.
Bingo.
Well, so it's noteworthy that at the end, they finally gave us what we could have agreed to back in July. I think what held it up was they did not want to do anything before the presidential election. I think they felt that that would disadvantage the president. But look, we finally got it done. We got it done in exactly the same amounts and with the same configuration that we would have been able to do back in the summer, but for all the intervening election shenanigans on the side of the Speaker and Democratic leader Schumer.
Okay, here's what the Democrats and the Republicans don't damned get. And that's, we have printing presses, and apparently they just don't stop. Sooner or later, we're going to have wild inflation. You can't keep spending money that you don't have. If a budget for a family needs to be followed, a budget, Oh, there we go. There's my number 6 for BZ's axioms. Number 6, truth in budgets. Have a budget. You can't go over it. And then, this should have happened during Wuhan 19 as well. When you as a politician tell people that they can no longer be employed, you also should no longer draw a paycheck. It should hurt just as much for the people that mandate this crap as the people that have to take it from the politicians. The other thing is, if you don't pass a budget, then you don't get paid. I want to light a fire under D.C. or just burn it down. One of the two. I don't have that many years left in me. I said the other day, of course I don't have this. And CIA, NSA, if you're listening, fuck you first. And then second is, if we could drop just a nice fusion bomb over D.C., and a fusion bomb, by the way, if you don't know, irradiates massively, but it would keep all those beautiful monuments in place. And it wouldn't damage the buildings, because we need those. Those are actually valuable. Mitch McConnell saying this, that none of them get, is you can't keep doing this. The debt clock keeps ticking, and sooner or later, just like Rand Paul says, and any and every libertarian says, you cannot continue spending like this. It's going to explode. And discounting Russia or China or our external neighbors, enemies, or even the internal domestic enemies that we have. The budget is one of them, and the budget is going to explode. You can't keep doing this. And, Jeremy, Kate, in my estimation, the Republicans are every bit as bad with that.
They are
Is this
guilty.
Or is this a keep your mouth clean show?
Oh, no. This is late night. This is late night. It's almost midnight on the East Coast. Do it.
You go, Jeremy. Mom's not listening.
Yeah, fuck them. Fuck them all. People don't realize how much danger we're in right now. Not their adversaries out there waiting to fucking pounce on us. Not just them selling us down the river in our own country with our freedoms and our liberties. But check this out. They're planning. Now this isn't with COVID taken in. $2.9 trillion is what we're planning on taking in the 2021 budget year. $2.9 trillion, and that's if everything goes good. We are spending, our budget for this year is $4.829 trillion. Now, when Clinton was around, he had a really good Republican that balanced the budget. He left office with a surplus. I know Republicans don't like hearing that,
but it's true.
That's the truth.
It is true.
And now we're $27 trillion in debt. So literally, by the time you add interest and stuff, we could go for 10 years and not stick one dime into our military, not one dime paying any politician, nothing for the federal government, and we wouldn't pay off our national debt.
Nope.
So all of this money in this COVID stimulus package, I say that tongue in cheek, why cannot we or Congress put that money back into America instead of sending it to all these countries that do not even deserve it? We do. It's our money. Why can we not put it back into our own country? What are these people thinking?
We don't even have it. We're literally borrowing this money to pay this. We don't even really have it. We're paying interest on top of interest just to get this money because our money is imaginary. We got a printing machine that is set up at 100 miles per hour right now. We are devaluing our currency. We're devaluing our GDP. But I'm telling you, the only reason we haven't hit hyperinflation yet is because they joined the Federal Reserve with the Treasury Department, and that way they can shut off the rest of the world and they say, well, you don't know how much money we're printing. Is that not true, Beezy?
It is true. And ask yourself how many people are holding our notes. And if they were suddenly to make a demand one day, well, China holds a ton of our debt. One of the major reasons that China hasn't, although they've hinted at it, one of the reasons China hasn't done that is because their economy is not nearly as strong as a lot of people think.
Right.
I want to go someplace a little bit different here because we got about 7 minutes to the top of the hour, and it'll be midnight on the East Coast, and it'll be 9 o'clock on the left coast, and it'll be in Bolivia. It'll be 1749 and 2300.723 subparagraph 4 Growth Cluster 2 in Bolivian time. I've never really understood Bolivian time at all. Really, I think it's just kind of weird. But refusing to open America up. Okay, you don't even have to go here. I think this was an insult. $600 after people become aware of what was inside that bill, is an insult. I'd almost rather have nothing than to have people discredit me in this way that I'm going to be talking about in a bit. Refusing to open America up while simultaneously playing God, little g, dangling money in front of Americans, then snatching it away because of OMB. That's the only reason that it's there. Hey, welcome to Jack and Chat. Oh, and also welcome to Suki from Texas. Brand new person in the chat room. Say hi to Suki. Glad to have you here.
Hi, Suki.
It's only because OMB. Orange Man bad. The proper play would have been to save that money, allow Americans to do what they wanted to do, which is get back to work. That's all Americans are doing. They just want to get back to work. We all know the numbers. We all know as Americans, we've been sold a massive ass bill of goods, and we have been gaslighted seriously for over 4 years. I'm going to say this again. I say it almost every damn show. This is from the CDC. COVID survival rate, 0 to 19 years, kids in school, 99.997%. 20 to 49 years, 99.98%. 50 to 69 years of age, 99.5% recovery rate. 70 plus years, yours truly, 94.6%. I've said this in front of leftists. And boy, do I take a lot of crap for this over Facebook and Twitter. I said something similar to the other day, and I want you guys, I want your opinion on this, Jack and Kate. Or excuse me, Jeremy and Kate. I just said hi to Jack in chat. I want your opinion on this. Don't stop this country for me. I am the poster child for comorbidities. I did this to me, not you. I am not worth shutting this country down for. People like me are not worth shutting this country down for. Keep the young people engaged in school. Keep people employed. Let people make a paycheck. Let people pay their bills. I ain't worth it. I've had my time on this planet. Don't shut the country down for me, because that's what the science says, and they're not listening to it.
It used to be that if you were sick, you stayed home.
Yes.
Now it is, if you're healthy, you stay home.
No.
That's a little backwards to me.
Yeah, it is. Okay, here's a little reality check for everybody. I think I've said this before, maybe not quite so engagedly. I've never worn gloves. I've worn masks a couple of times. I almost never wash my hands. Yeah, bad on me. Let's see. I touch gas pumps all over the place. I touch gas pump handles. I touch groceries. When I'm in a store, goods in Costco, I look at them. If I don't want them, I put them back down. Same thing that all the other people have done. I touch doors all over. I fear this like I fear the flu. You can't tell me that I haven't been around this crap in 9 or 10 months. I should be dead, but I'm not. I feel sorry for the people that have died behind this. And maybe, well, let me ask you guys, Kate or Jeremy, do you know anybody that's died behind Wuhan 19?
No, I've known a couple people that they say have died from it.
All right.
Exactly, yes.
Okay. Do you know anybody that's gotten it?
Yes.
Many.
My nephew
Okay.
ended up in ICU twice with supposed diagnosed COVID, but he ends up in the ICU literally every year around mid-October because his lungs are already bad.
Okay.
But this year they diagnosed him with COVID twice, and he was in the ICU twice, but he believes that it was not COVID. It felt the same thing as all the other times that he's been in the hospital.
And he would know his body better than anybody else. Now, let me ask you, too.
I would think so.
Let me ask you, too, and then anybody else in chat. You know anybody that's committed suicide because of this? I do.
I know many people that have committed suicide this year. It sucks. 2020 sucked.
And
I'm a counselor for Mission 22, so I do not know personally some of the men who have called in to the suicide line, but I have talked to them, and yes, they have taken their life.
Open America up. People aren't built for this. Now, if you're talking about Ebola or Marburg, that's another damn thing. This ain't that. And I'll be right back after this.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
It is he that is me, bringing perspective from across the sea. Join me, Jack Alexander, 4 days a week for the Jack Alexander Experiment podcast, as I take a unique outsider's look at the news and issues affecting life and liberty here in the USA. I'll show you what the mainstream media refuses to. Politics, border security, defense, healthcare, travel, nothing is off limits. Catch the Jack Alexander Experiment podcast each Monday to Thursday on Facebook, YouTube, and everywhere good podcasts can be found. Also, check out the website, www.jackalexanderexperiment.com.
It's your business diva here, Melanie Collette. I am inviting you to a front row seat as I discuss some of the most intriguing details of wealth and finance with today's movers and shakers in the world of business. Listen in and discover financial truths on a global, domestic, and household scale. Uncover topics that will impact your wallet today and in the future. Money Talk with Melanie airs Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. East, 2 p.m. West, right here on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio. You can't afford to miss it.
After 6 years covering terror and corruption, the Unpleasant Blind Guy is making a change. I'm Dave Milner. Join me on Spreaker and YouTube through SHR Media and on the Western Free Radio Network as I team up with Jeff Mitchell, host of the English Defense League radio show on blogtalkradio.com. Check show pages for airtimes. It's the Unpleasant Blind Guy.
On EBL Radio.
There's
no surrender, ever.
Because truth is not always pleasant.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
I am the worst self-promoter in the world. If you can, share the show. Share it on Spreaker. If you're on Facebook, share it on Facebook. Pretty please with sugar on top. Tonight I have here in the Saloon, I've got KATE KRUSZEWSKI, who is the owner of Survive, Thrive, and Stay Alive, and Jeremy Hanson of the Unleashed Jeremy Hanson Show. Two wonderful individuals who I'm very glad to have on my last political show for the entire year of 2020. I don't know about you, but I just want 2020 to go the hell away. But we'll talk about 2021 in a bit. You guys, can I go on a bit of a rantabulous in just a second?
Absolutely. Sure.
Okay. All righty. Like I said, when I die, which isn't going to be that long, it'll be due to a heart attack because I'm so damn fat. I have to tell you, I don't fear death. On the other hand, I'm not stopping living. Too many people have these days because of unreasonable government demands, which is why, just what we were talking about, suicides have skyrocketed. ODs have skyrocketed. Valium and other psychotropic prescriptions, they have skyrocketed. We are ruining an entire generation of kids. Sergeant Booker in chat just said, by the way, there was a kid in a school in Lodi who shot himself during online class. He said, sister was in the next room. This is beyond reprehensible. We've turned an entire generation of kids. We've kept them from schools, from their pals, their friends, from necessary socialization, which is critical to young kids. We have set nursing homes on fire because they're not the first priority. We're watching domestic violence, arrests, injuries, and deaths skyrocket. People are divorcing. They're losing their jobs, losing their homes, their apartments, their cars, their savings, going bankrupt. They're becoming homeless, all because government morons can't understand the consequences of their actions. And because of this, too, they still have their jobs. I say they have no damn skin in the game. They go and do as they please, despite their own orders, which tells me, you know what? They don't believe the bullshit that they are spewing themselves. And you can't tell me there isn't a punitive aspect to their strictures when they feel like they themselves from on high are being dismissed. Their edicts clearly take precedence over something as stupid as some ancient, worthless document. Just ask them that. They'll go on ahead and arrest violators of their Wuhan 19 regulations, and they'll put them in jail. But arsonists, rioters, assaulters, rapists, murderers, go free, or they can have no bail. We are releasing felons, murderers, pederasts, but we are threatening normal people. Here in Sacramento County, I've had Gabrielle Ingram on any number of times. The Board of Supervisors is still considering, they have not said they are not going to do this. They are still considering $10,000 fines for violators. Not for murder, but for going against the strictures of what they've written about Wuhan 19. That's insane. That's insane. No business can afford that. No private person can afford that. It's punitive and it's oppressive. So, unlock America. Let people live their lives. You can't stop this crap. People who are fearful, the onus is on you to stay home, period. If I feel I have to stay home, I should sit my fat ass down. I should be the one under house arrest, not you guys, not Kate, not Jeremy. Not anybody listens, because I bet you're not as ancient and doddering as I am, which I will fully admit. Okay, I'm getting off my soapbox right now.
Do you feel better?
I do.
Okay, good.
Can I make you feel worse, Easy?
Yeah, please, sir.
Okay, I'm going to make you feel worse because this is what's really going on. Forget about all this bullshit with COVID-19.
Okay.
Forget about the politicians doing the wrong thing. Let me tell you what's really going on here.
Okay.
From the time we were kids, your generation, my generation, everybody's generation has heard about the New World Order. We finally saw it rear its head with Bush Sr. And what we're experiencing right now in 2020 has been the biggest wealth and power concentration in world history, bar none, by far. The amount of redistribution of wealth and the amount of soul-crushing things going on around the world to small businesses, not just in America, but across the world. The power grab in the name of safety around the world is unprecedented. It's never happened in history. And what we had was the New World Order stick a bioweapon out there. And what are they doing? All the big players, all the elitists, they're getting super rich. The top 1% are getting richer. And not only are they getting richer, they're grabbing more power. While the people on the bottom, the middle class, is vanishing, and the people that are poor are getting poorer and sicker, and nobody, besides a handful of us, and some of us don't even want to talk about it because it can get us kicked off of places, nobody will say it for what it is. Doesn't matter if you're in the UK, doesn't matter if you're in France, doesn't matter if you're in Germany, doesn't matter if you're in the U.S. The concentration of wealth is now to the big companies, to the big banks, credit unions, small businesses, small, even cafeterias and stuff that we'd go and have coffee. They're gone. They're not coming back. And all of that money that was spent there is going to Walmart. And, it's funny to me, and it just blows my mind that Walmart and Home Depot and Lowe's, they got these superstructures that stop contamination from getting sick in there. Isn't that funny to you?
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, that the virus knows when to stop. Oh, wait, it's Home Depot. I can't go in there.
You're right. It pisses me off that nobody, we can see this in real time. It's happening all over. The older people are dying off in record numbers from who knows what, because our care is so good. Our health care has gotten so much better over the years. Our children are being indoctrinated. The people that know better can't do anything about it, like me and you. So we sit here and we watch the New World Order take over everything in the name of COVID-19. And now, after COVID-19 was supposed to be done, now all of our worst fears have came true, because now there's a mutation, and the new vaccine we got now isn't going to work.
Oh, no.
And literally, people are losing everything. And I believe, I will go to my death saying this. I believe that this is not happenstance. This just isn't coincidence, that this was a planned attack, not on America, but on the world, to concentrate wealth, to concentrate power, to get rid of freedom, and make us all slaves to the New World Order system. That's what I truly believe.
Absolutely. Rahm Emanuel, I think, made this. It was sort of a staple before, but he said essentially never let a good crisis go to waste. And this is a wonderful crisis. Again, you cannot tell me, because we've had individuals who have been Chinese virologists say on various shows, I know for a fact this came from China. I know how it was released. It was bioengineered, and it was released on purpose. And we know that for a fact because China stopped any flights from the city of Wuhan into China itself. Now, you could get on a plane and go anywhere else in the world. You just couldn't go in China. If that isn't consciousness of guilt, I don't know what would be. Substitute the United States of America for China. And this virus came from the United States, and we had pretty good information indicating it came from one of our labs. Let's say it came from USAMRIID. Oh, my God, the world would go before the world court. The United States would be sued within an inch of its life. All of our flights would be shut down. All of our shipping would be shut down. All of the planes would be shut down. Any transportation would be shut down. And we would be the source of evil for decades, having done this to the rest of the planet. Why isn't China?
Amen. That's all I can say to that is amen. Do you remember, both you guys, Kate and BZ, do you guys remember when New York and California had the shutdowns before, and all over the mainstream media, they're like, look at, they stopped the COVID-19. What did they call it? Squashing the, flattening the curve. And now they got all that praise, and they said, look at how dumb Trump's people are. Look at all these red, white, and blue flag waving states. Look at how bad they're doing. And guess what? Nobody remembers that, and you won't hear a Democrat or a leftist talk about it. New York shut down. California shut down. Hey, guess what? We're still here in Missouri.
Yeah, amazing.
Exactly. Our restaurants are still open in Kentucky.
That's awesome.
But see, why is it, though, that all of this crap appears to be happening in leftist areas? It's like the cash. This was a perfect opportunity, the perfect storm, if you will, to ship $135 million to Burma, $85.5 million to Cambodia. What? In a COVID relief package? What? Oh, here's one. Now, we talked about millions of dollars here. Here's $1.4 billion with a B dollars to the Asia Reassurance Initiative Act. Hello, China?
Asia. Is that going to China? Exactly.
I wonder who put that in there. $130 million to Nepal. Okay, I don't hate Nepal. $700 million to Sudan. Again, just like happens with every bill at this time, $26 million to the Kennedy Center, which, as Trump pointed out, is shut down. So how come the Kennedy Center gets precedence every year? I speak leftist. This is my hand shooting up. I know why. So DC elites have someplace to go. They can drink cocktails on your dime. They can show off to each other, preen like pheasants, and talk shit behind each other's political backs. $1 billion to the Smithsonian. Why?
I just declared myself a nation in need.
Yeah, it's like the mouse who roared. It's like Grand Fenwick goes into a battle. Anybody that hasn't read The Mouse That Roared, okay, I'm speaking probably to a lot of people that don't know. $154 million to the National Art Gallery. $167 million to the National Arts and Humanities. These are also, I should point out, these are also nice places for cocktail parties for the Democrats. $10 million for gender programs in Pakistan. Stop. You know, the nuclear-armed Muslim country that wants to wipe out India forces women to wear veils, adores honor killings, genital mutilation. You know, because Pakistani Muslims are some of the most understanding of gender studies on the damn planet. And that cash is going to go right into the pockets of the bureaucrats to create more weapons against Pakistani enemies. $1.3 billion to Europe, $453 million to Ukraine, $33 million to Venezuela, $3.3 billion of grants to Israel. I love Israel. They don't need our money. Not right the fuck now, they don't. You'll love this. $3.36 billion to Bill Gates. You get $600. You are an afterthought. Why? Why are you an afterthought? Because so many of you reprehensible little people voted for Trump. You refuse to wear your damn masks. You refuse to sit down, shut up, and listen to your superiors. That's why this is happening. Oh, this is also... Did you guys know this was in... Hey, welcome to Mark Ashcraft in chat, in SHR Media chat. Glad to see you here. Did you guys know this was in the COVID-19 bill? The New York Times reminded me of this. Climate change legislation included in coronavirus relief deal. What? The legislation calls for cutting the use of powerful planet-warming chemicals common in air conditioners and refrigerators. They want to get rid of completely. They want especially limits on refrigerants. And so, okay, when we're already having a very difficult time in getting our new air conditioners to work, they want to eliminate HFCs, hydrofluorocarbons, and get rid of the things that actually keep you cool, keep technology cool, keep the massive server rooms of Google, Twitter, Facebook, and others cool. Why? You got to ask. You always ask yourselves why. When you hear of something like this go through. Why is this in a coronavirus relief package at all? Jeremy or Kate, why is this in a coronavirus relief package at all? I know why.
I know why. Do you know why, Kate?
I can guess.
Okay, guess.
No, I'll listen to you guys.
Okay.
And then I'll tell you if my guess is right.
Okay.
How's that?
All righty.
All right, I'll go first.
Jeremy, you go first.
United Nations 2030 is all about everything that you just said.
Mm-hmm.
They have mandates to redistribute wealth, and what they call it now is climate justice. Instead of redistribution of wealth, they call it climate justice. And it's a way to redistribute money into big corporations and take away energy consumption from one area and move it to another. And all it is, it's not fixing anything other than a transfer of power. There's my shot at it.
There you go. I'll take that. Plus, we know that William Wilhelm, formerly known as William Wilhelm because he didn't want people to know that he had a kraut name, now called Mayor Bill de Blasio. Isn't that funny how leftists can go from being a kraut to an Italian just because they say they are? Bing! Just like that. He's said that his job is to redistribute wealth. Sooner or later, we're going to have to listen to these fucktards and realize that they actually mean what they say. But I'm also going to suggest this. Why is this in a coronavirus package? 'Cause leftists and Democrats realize that global warming isn't resonating with you turds anymore. You are more concerned with your stupid little jobs, your stupid little wages, your stupid family, your stupid grandparents, your suicides that don't mean anybody to anything except some folks in a small circle of friends, your puny apartments and crappy little houses, having jobs, running a business, all those absolutely ridiculously immaterial things. So if you're not paying attention anymore, they'll just round up your money anyway, 'cause fuck you taxpayers. That's why. At least that's one man's opinion. Remember at the beginning of the show, I said, it's just my opinion. Everything is upside down. in terms of the election as well. Jeremy, I think you... Oh, boy. I really want you guys to tell me what you think of this. Oh, Mark Ashcraft. Welcome. Good to see you there in chat. I think you played this already in your show, Jeremy. Kate, I am not sure about you. This is a guy whose video I played before, Patrick Byrne. And here he's talking about election fraud and China. And I really am curious what you guys are going to think about this.
It sounded crazy. I was still trying to convince people there's been massive industrial scale election fraud. At this point, if people aren't living under a rock, they know that. We don't have to argue. I'll leave it to others like Sydney to argue and explain what's going on. But the truth is there are fingerprints on this going certainly Venezuela and Cuba, but also the trail goes back to Iran, Pakistani intelligence, and China. And their fingerprints are over this, including that Smartmatic gets funded. Chinese money comes into Smartmatic Venezuela, and then it bounces to Smartmatic Panama. And we've already discovered a bunch of this stuff. We're way ahead. What's coming up in the press now is the stuff we kind of figured out 3 weeks ago. So Chinese fingerprints are indeed on. It sounded crazy. I was still trying to convince people there's been massive industrial.
So I'm curious, what do you guys happen to think about that?
Go for it, Kate.
I did broadcast a little bit of that.
Okay.
On my show, I think a week ago. I believe that there has been election fraud.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hearing convicting stories, not convicting, but conflicting. Thank you. I just totally had a brain fart on a simple word. I'm hearing conflicting stories about Sidney Powell and some of the right-wing news shows supposedly turning their backs on Sidney Powell and admitting that there has been no election frauds, et cetera. I believe that there has been election fraud. I believe that Biden stole, literally, the election. My thoughts on all of that is, how do you actually prove it? Yes, they are coming up with proof. Maybe that's not the right question. How do you get the courts to see that?
That's true, and I had, folks, if you didn't listen, go to Spreaker.com and insert Berserk Bobcat Saloon there, or go to bloviatingzeppelin.net, and you'll see all my Spreaker shows there. Go to last Thursday's show. Professor Michael Jones, who is a constitutional expert, explained essentially that SCOTUS disregarded the only reason for its existence by refusing to hear and denying the case from Texas where all the other states enjoined. That's why the SCOTUS exists, to solve problems between the states. And they didn't and weren't interested in doing their damn job. So, Kate, you're right. How do we get them to do their jobs?
It's impossible. We can't make the highest court in the land do anything. As a matter of fact, we can't even get our elected politicians to do the job that they're supposed to do, let alone the highest court in the land. We have a military that is fighting each other. We have a political system that is completely corrupt. We have a completely ballless, totally and utterly useless Supreme Court. I don't think that there's any way to fix this without a physical realignment of our political system, complete, if you know what I'm saying.
I do. And that's the journey we've been taking tonight, because I am leading everyone, including you guys, to a certain direction on this journey. And now I've got a couple of I'm sorry, Kate, you had something to add to that. Go ahead.
No, I didn't. I was just agreeing with Jeremy.
Okay. I'm taking you on a journey tonight for 2 hours. I don't know if there's going to be any overtime or not, because I want to get to some particular places, and I'll end up with all is not lost. Do not say all is not lost, because the fat lady, or in my case, the fat guy, has not yet sung or committed his last show. I have a series of interesting articles, the likes of which have been made aware of to me by yourselves and other people that I correspond with, some to include some folks still in alphabet agencies that I correspond with every once in a while on Signal. Here's a story. Things got stranger and stranger. I only found it. Now, you would not find this in the mainstream media. I found this from westernjournal.com. I go there every once in a while. The headline on this thing is, and I'm going to ask you guys, where do you think this came from, and where do you think it's going? The headline is, Pentagon blocks Biden from meeting with military intel agencies. Now, I'm going to give you the date on this, because the date is really important, I think. The Pentagon has so far blocked meetings between the Biden transition team and officials with the intelligence agencies that are part of the Department of Defense, according to two new reports. However, defense officials and the Biden team differ on the reasons why the meetings have not yet taken place. This is back on December 6th, I emphasize. Presumptive potential President-elect Joe Biden has formed a transition team to facilitate a transfer of power. The General Services Administration, the GSA, has been given a green light to assist the transition team, and meetings have been taking place with various agencies. However, Biden's transition officials have not yet met with representatives of the military intelligence agencies that are part of the Defense Department, and such as the Defense Intelligence Agency, the DIA, and the National Security Agency, the NSA. Now, that's according to CNN. I'll go a little bit further into that, but first I'm curious if that piques any interest on either the part of you, Jeremy, or you, Kate, or thoughts.
Well, I have it on good authority, and I get a lot of my resource intelligence from overseas in the military as well as the State Department, that Joe Biden and the Biden crime family are a part of some things I cannot say just yet. The Biden crime family are a part of a lot of the things that is going on, which we already know. They are a part of China.
Right.
But they are also a part of what is going on with China, Iran, Russia, and Serbia.
Okay, Jeremy, any thoughts?
You know, other than that day was the day that they released the hack into basically every single institution in America.
That came a little later. That actually came a little bit later. And that's why I went in chronological order with this. So a couple of days later, right around the 14th, 13th, or 15th, right around in there. But absent that, any immediate thoughts? Or do you think it may be linked to said hack?
Well, I think it's linked to the hack. I know what their excuse is. Pompeo came out and said, well, you know, we just can't do this right now because the holidays are right around the corner. And, you know, we're America. Who needs intelligence briefings in the holidays, right? I mean, it's not like we've ever had, like, a naval base bombed or anything, you know, over the holidays, is there?
No, that'll never happen.
I was taught in the military as an MP that if you are doing an investigation, always look at the common denominator. And if you look at all of the facts, not the conjecture or speculation, but if you look at all of the facts, what is the common denominator, the hub of the wheel, you should say, throughout this whole thing? Look at all of the facts. What is the common denominator? And it all points to the Biden crime family.
Okay. I got to take a break. This is the last break of the show. I have a really weird story. It involves the Pentagon. And again, a lot of people are not aware of this. And you guys might have some insight on this. I haven't played the interview that I conducted later last week, with Susan Katz-Keating, who writes for the Washington Examiner, and she also writes for JustTheNews.com. She's a member of AFIO, Association of... It's a retirement for the Association of Intelligence Officers. She got into intelligence quite a bit, knows a lot about the military, and even she didn't want to talk to me about this topic that's coming next. So hold that thought. I'm BZ. You're listening to KATE KRUSZEWSKI. You're listening to Jeremy Hanson. This is the Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show, and I swear to God, I'll be back after this. Hey, if you have to use the electric winkle chamber, do it now.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Southern Sense is conservative talk with Annie, the radio chick you bellows as host, and C.S. Bennett co-host. Informative, fun, irreverent, and politically incorrect. You never know where they'll go, but you'll love the journey. Annie is a top conservative host on Top Talk Radio and features some of the finest guests packed with important politicians and newsmakers. Listen every Friday, 3 to 6 p.m. Eastern, noon to 3 Pacific, on the SHR Media Network. Remember, Southern Sense is common sense.
Hey, are you guys listening? This is Shannon from Right Way with Shannon and Mike in the AM on SHR Media. I know you've been wondering where we are and what's been going on. Well, folks, that's right, we're back. So please join us 7 to 9 a.m. Monday through Thursday on SHR Media, on Spreaker, iHeartRadio, and Spotify, and Facebook Live at 11 a.m. on Right Way with Shannon and Mike in the AM at Facebook. You don't want to miss a minute. We've got lots of guests, lots of segments, and lots of interesting things. And let's face it, there's nowhere for you to go, so you might as well tune in. Again, Right Way with Shannon and Mike in the AM. We're back live on the air on SHR Media, 7 to 9 a.m. Monday through Thursday, audio and Facebook Live, audio and video. Yes, we are going to do video. Facebook Live, Right Way with Shannon and Mike in the AM. Hope to see you soon.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
And we are back. I am back. He, she, and it are back. They are back. We are back. And some people even do it bareback. It is 27 minutes left in the final second hour of BZ's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show. Thanks to everyone who is listening tonight. Thanks to everybody who listens later on in podcast. Thanks to the American Trucker. A lot of people that drive trucks listen to me live. For whatever reason, I'm very popular in podcast with truckers. Who knows? Maybe they're going Betty Bye right now. I just really don't know. And to all the people in chat, welcome to the Alaskan. Thanks for being here. Alaskan, Real Mike Pasqua, Mark Ashcraft, new guy, thanks to be here. Thanks for being here. Sergeant Booker, Iggy Mom, thanks to Iggy Mom for being here. Haven't seen you in quite some while. Suki from Texas, Jack Alexander, Kate, and also 2 viewers who will not be unmasked because that's not what I do here. I don't unmask people here. Share, alike, share, CHER, share. Talking to...
You got 9 people over, or you did have 9 people over in Facebook chat.
Oh, okay, great.
Greg, John, Jimmy, Ralph, Sid, and it won't let me scroll up anymore, but yeah.
Okay. Sid, welcome. Thanks for being so vicious. I appreciate it. I just can't get to Facebook chat, but thanks to everybody for being in Facebook chat as well. My apologies to you for not mentioning you earlier. I should mention again. All the show, we've had Jeremy Hanson from Unleashed Jeremy Hanson, his show here. And we've had KATE KRUSZEWSKI from Survive, Thrive, and Stay Alive. She also has a show as well. This is the weird-ass article that I want to read to you guys, and it's like, is this not kind of the craziest concurrence of weird-ass crap that you've heard in quite some time? This article will butter your cake, so to speak. Pentagon, let's see, when is this? This is from the 10th of December. Pentagon weighs cutting most of its support to CIA's counterterrorism missions. What? CIA counterterrorism missions rely on military for logistical support and personnel. Okay, I get that. In a surprising move, the Pentagon has told the Central Intelligence Agency that is weighing an end to the majority of the military support it provides to the agency's counterterrorism missions, according to a former senior administration intelligence official. It is unclear how the decision would impact the spy agency's worldwide counterterrorism missions that often rely on U.S. military for logistical support and personnel. Acting Defense Secretary Christopher Miller sent a letter to CIA Director Gina Haspel. I think that's a clue. Gina Haspel. Outlining the possible decision, according to the former official who characterized the action as both surprising and unprecedented. Jeremy Hanson, KATE KRUSZEWSKI, any thoughts?
The intelligence that was coming had been corrupted. And my guess, after saying that and you refreshing my memory, I would have to say that they probably got shut down because a military operation over in Germany was thwarted by, or it wasn't thwarted, it was successful with casualties from a gas attack. That's my guess. Just shooting off the top of my head.
Okay. Kate, any thoughts?
I have thoughts, but they're probably not accurate. So
Okay.
I'm just going to keep my mouth shut for now.
Okay. Okay, let me put it in another category. I'll take conjectures or wild-ass guesses, wags, for 500, please. Kate?
Just 500?
Yeah, just 500. Hey, 500 I think was the tops. Wasn't it?
I don't know. I don't watch Jeopardy, so
Okay.
I agree with Jeremy. Gosh, there's just so much.
I know. That's why I had you guys here, because I am, again, going someplace with this. I'm going to ask a lot of questions. Go ahead.
Okay, that's just this evil laugh.
Halloween.
I'm just going to put it all on Jeremy's shoulder and just say, I agree with Jeremy.
Okay. All right. Okay. I'll throw this out there. Is this because we're discovering, and we have discovered, that Gina Haspel was an impediment to freedom when she refused to release documents President Trump had declassified? That's one of my first thoughts. Miller's letter asked that the CIA, this I find very interesting also. Miller's letter originally said and told the CIA, I want a response by January 5th. So, folks, stick that in your tickler file. Remember to look at January 5th to see what happens between the Pentagon and the CIA. Miller's letter said that the CIA should provide a response by January 5th. That's a day before what?
The electorals.
There we go, the electors. Is there a linkage? Is there a linkage, or is that pure coinkydink?
Or do you think that it's even going to happen?
I don't know. So all I'm suggesting is, remember January 5th. We know what's going to happen on January 6th. Remember to look to see if anything of significance occurs January 5th. And I'm just throwing this out there. Isn't this all getting just curiouser and curiouser? Then we suffer, basically, the greatest hack of the century. And there are so many issues with this. They called it the hack of a decade. They breached, and I think I got this, I don't remember, it might have been from UK, and I'm not sure. They breached America's nuclear weapons stockpile. That's a grave risk. to the U.S. government. Homeland Security issued a warning, and cybersecurity experts all over the place said they think there's little doubt that the hackers were from Russia. I've also heard somebody say that they believe that it might have been China. More, though, I think are pointing at Russia. Vox.com wrote how the U.S. government hack happened, what it means, and it's explained by an expert. There's a guy named Columbia University's Jason Healy, and he said, this only has just started. Suspected Russian government hackers breached the computer networks of the U.S. DoD, the Commerce Department, the Treasury Department, the State Department, Homeland Security, even that part of the Energy Department, DOE, that oversees America's nuclear arsenal, including some people suggested the launch codes. And it appears that they've had access as far back as March. Some people have said they have had access even longer than that. It is one of the biggest, most bizarre, most brazen hacks that I can think of in American history, and it might just be part of a bigger, much bigger global spy effort. Here's the deal that really sticks in my craw. What's even more troubling is that nobody really knows. It's unclear whether or not what everybody got access to. Some people are saying, some of the experts are saying, this guy, Jason, was saying, they think it's going to take years before the hackers are completely out of U.S. government networks, and the full extent of what their spying did is understood. This,
I don't believe that.
You don't believe that? You don't think they'll know?
No. I don't believe that it can take that long.
Oh, okay. All righty. God, where's Mike Fitzgerald, my cybersecurity expert, when I need him? Any thoughts, Jeremy?
I had a briefing from O&I about this.
Okay.
They call this starfish malware. And O&I was briefed by French intelligence that the malware that has been installed, which came through this company down in Houston,
right?
SolarWinds. It attaches itself and it works its way through the system, and you can rip part of it off. But just like a starfish, you can leave little pieces in there, and it creates a new starfish. So literally,
it goes back.
It grows back, and it comes back, and they have to kill it, meaning kill the system, in order to get it out. And it wasn't just our nuclear stockpile. They got into everything, even our labs that have our top secret, the way that we strategize to fight, how we would do things, the launch codes. Not only the launch codes, but the way that we would launch them in different sorts of attacks. They got everything. We are the most vulnerable that we've ever been. And the only way to get it out is to kill it. And the only way to kill it is to kill the whole system, so it kills the whole starfish instead of chopping it up in little pieces and having it come back.
Then why don't they kill it?
Because you'd have to shut down the whole internet, and you might have some in your computer. You might have some in my computer. And it will grow from our computer. And
darn. Then kill it.
Well, see, the other thing is they were saying it went into Microsoft. All of Microsoft. Do you have any Microsoft stuff?
That's everybody.
That's just about everybody.
Then, so does and justify the means? So if you don't kill it, then they can just go ahead and continue for several more years to gather our information. But if you kill it now, can you not restart something or rebuild something or have something built before you kill it? I mean, there's stuff out there that's already built that you can start over.
It would send us back to the Stone Age. You literally couldn't even have a retail store and use point of sale anymore because that's all Microsoft. It would kill our way of life as we know it. I agree with you. I think that at some point we just have to say, bite the bullet and do it. And I also wanted to mention this. O&I does not believe that Russia is at fault here. They believe that the Chinese are working with our CIA using hacking programs built by the CIA to make it look like Russians.
Which is interesting because most of the people have been saying in the media that they believe it's Russia. The one individual that I still speak to every once in a while said, I think it's China. So I find that very interesting, Jeremy.
Yeah, my sources say China and Iran.
Oh, Iran in concert. Sure. Okay. I can see that. This guy named Jason Healy that I got the story from, his version is he believes the Russians, knowing that they've struggled all along to try to get into the U.S. by all sorts of doors, trying to get into the U.S. government. This just wasn't into the U.S. government. This was into an assload of Fortune 500 companies. They all use the same software for network management, which, as you pointed out, Jeremy, was SolarWinds. So instead of going in the front door, what they tried to do is go into the back door. They inserted code into the software, and SolarWinds apparently signed it off and said, yeah, guess what? When you're uploading new stuff from us, this is us. This is really us. We're authenticating. This is SolarWinds software stuff, and that's how they got in. Now, I have, let's see, what is this? I think this is about 8 minutes. And as I'm playing this, Jeremy, Kate, if you want to add something or you have something that you'd like to comment or respond to, please speak up and let me know. This is Lou Dobbs talking on the 17th to a guy named Morgan Wright. And Morgan Wright is a former senior State Department security advisor. And I found this a most interesting conversation between the two of them.
Joining us now to take all of this up, former senior State Department advisor, cybersecurity expert, Morgan Wright. I don't recall a single time previous to this in which the U.S. government has said this is a grave, grave attack on the United States, and they make it clear at the Department of Homeland Security that they have no capacity to stop it. Your thoughts?
Yeah, Lou, anytime you call a meeting on Saturday of the National Security Council, it's serious. I mean, this is almost like a prelude to war. So what you were just saying earlier and what you reported on, not only were...
Okay, stop. In any other time, Kate or Jeremy, would this be war? Would this be a predicate of war?
Absolutely.
100%.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. And the reason we haven't or didn't is because we have not identified the bad actor yet?
I'm not going to go as far as to say that we haven't.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that they know who the bad actor is. But I think they're going to hold off probably because Trump believes he's going to stay in the White House. Biden believes he's going to be sworn into the White House. And with that conflict and inner fighting within the top echelon of our nation, we don't know what's going to happen.
Okay. All right. Let me ask you guys another question before I continue, because this was primary on my mind as well. We've been hacked by experts. So one of the first questions that was my overarching question throughout all of this was, do our firewalls and our digital abilities just suck? And are we absolutely terrible at inflicting this kind of crap on them as well? I honestly don't know. Jeremy or Kate?
I think
I'll say
some of our
10.
I think some of our codes and I think some of our passwords, I think some of our information has been not leaked. I think it has just been flat out given to China.
Okay.
And that is how they got in.
Okay.
Well, wasn't it a 12-year-old kid in North Carolina hacked our Pentagon? Wasn't that a story in 2020? A 12-year-old kid hacked the Pentagon?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Not long ago. Also, Homeland Security, if you remember, back in 2015, 2014, hacked into the election system of Indiana when Mike Pence was governor. We never interfere in elections. I'm going to continue with this.
The government agencies hit. We've got Lockheed Martin. We've got companies like FireEye. Very good, solid cybersecurity companies being targeted by this malware. So this is, I think a lot of this, now they were in the system for 9 months, Lou, but it took several months of preparation. This very well could have started after the 2018 election, after they were kind of silent during that time. This is Russia's way of getting back in the game. They knew we were going to be looking at them for the election. So what did they do? They took a different tack, and instead they attacked the one system, the one company that had over 300,000 clients, many of those government clients and very significant private sector clients.
You're talking about SolarWinds?
Yeah, SolarWinds, they have over 300,000 customers worldwide. They said, well, only a small portion, 18,000, were affected. Lou, 18,000, my goodness. We're talking 18,000 companies. Many of those, like you were just talking about, nuclear agencies, the FERC. We've got the Treasury. We've got, many other government agencies. We've got private sector companies that do defense work, Lockheed Martin. This is not just something you say, it's just a minor thing. They exploited the trust mechanism that every company relied upon to deliver, like you said, these updates to patch the vulnerabilities. Instead, they were introducing new hidden vulnerabilities. They said, well, the updates are secure. Well, the updates weren't secure. They were securely delivered, but they contained a malicious payload that allowed them to exploit. We don't, at this point, Lou, we don't know how many. It could be hundreds. It could be thousands of companies.
Those companies, all of them part of the military-industrial complex, all of them in the federal system with access to, as we've already been told, the nuclear stockpile, which means in this instance also very likely it means that our national laboratories have also been compromised. The fact that it's ongoing and that everyone is acknowledging, at least those who are speaking, that there is no fix here, quote unquote, and that right now foreign actors are in control of the U.S. networks and systems.
Stop. Are foreign bad actors in control of many of the U.S. military elements, intelligence, and possibly some defense and military-related corporations, do you think, Jeremy or Kate?
Yes, absolutely. There's no doubt about it. And I will go as far as to say we have people in the CIA that are treasonous. I was going to say the opposite, I didn't. Treasonous rat bastards, I guess is the best way to put it.
Okay.
And they're in control of all of this. All of this. It should be no surprise that we're doing this now. And it sends chills up my spine when he said Lockheed Martin, because that means our new military that we have, what do they call it? The
Space Force?
Space Force. They have everything that they ever needed to know about every ship that's been built, because a lot of those contracts were done by Lockheed Martin before they even announced it. So they have that. And another thing that I think that is his nomenclature when he's talking about this, did you notice he said it had a malicious payload?
Yes.
Now, you could have said anything, but when he says malicious payload, what that means to me is military. This is military. This is special ops stuff. This isn't just, some hackers sitting around in some, Chinese government building. This is a military thing. And you got to really listen to this guy, but he knows what he's talking about.
Okay, are we theorizing then, Kate or Jeremy, that the NSA, CIA, as we discovered in Trump's first term, also in 2016 and 2015, I kind of generally tend to go with methinks thou doth complain too much when you're talking about Clapper and Brennan. Would it be correct to say or theorize the NSA and the CIA and covert actors or even overt actors, domestic enemies from within, have been acting against the interests of the United States now potentially for years?
Absolutely.
let me ask you a question to answer that question.
Sure.
What do you think of DARPA?
Ooh.
Yeah. Ooh.
That's very interesting. I'll have to tell you a story off camera involving Wright-Patterson Air Force Base and Fortec and another individual that I know, which I can't talk about right now. But that's a very interesting question.
Let me ask this question.
Okay.
As American people, who do we trust?
Wait. This is what you deserve.
Amen.
That's the question of 2020 and 2021. What happens when we can no longer trust one person, one vote? What happens when we can no longer trust our elections? What happens when we can no longer trust our intelligence agencies? I think they've been broadcasting this for quite some time. People just weren't interested in listening, including both of my damn brothers. I don't mind naming them. And a lot of people that I bet you know who would just rather sit and watch TV and not get involved in politics. Because I bet you, Jeremy, and you, Kate, I know I have been called a tinfoil hat-wearing conspiracist. Not everything is political. Just lighten up, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah, that and worse.
Oh, yes. And worse.
Mm-hmm.
But when we can't trust the machinations of our country, and we know for fuck's sake, yes, we can't trust any of the other countries, what do we really have anymore? What do we really have?
Who do you go
There's
to?
an old, it's called Revolution is My Name. And that's what we're really, that is the resolve that we're left with. If you can't trust your government, if you can't trust the institutions that were put here to protect us, and you sure as hell can't trust these other countries, the only thing you're left with is your own two hands and being shoulder to shoulder with people that have just as much to lose as you do.
Okay.
Exactly.
With that thought in mind, I'm going to ask both of you guys, and by the way, folks, if you haven't sussed it out yet, yeah, I'm going into overtime. Yeah, that's going to happen, because I probably got another good 6 minutes or so left on this video, and I want to play all of it because it's very insightful. So we'll get back. We will continue now.
U.S. federal networks and systems. Mm-hmm. There's no other way to read this, is there?
No, CISA already told Department of Energy, look, you're on your own. We don't have any bandwidth to be able to support you. You know, this is beyond an all hands on deck. We don't even have the number of people it takes to respond to this. And Lou, I will tell you, looking at this has a lot of hallmarks.
We don't have the number of people required to respond to this. In social media, that's where I usually write AYFKM, and I'll say it here. Are you fucking kidding me? We have not set up this nation to be able to respond to the number one obvious threat for decades now. What do you say to that? How can you respond to that?
Trademarks of what Russia did to Ukraine December 23rd, 2015, when they launched the black energy malware. They took out 700,000 homes. They were practicing this in other areas. This is their kind of tradecraft. But there's another thing. The military calls it IPB, intelligence preparation of the battlefield. Russia, by getting into the FERC, by getting into the nuclear agencies, by getting into our government, and you said the military-industrial complex, they are assessing our capabilities, our strengths. They're looking at where's the U.S. going, what can they really do. And the FERC, the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, they don't regulate the energy transfers, but they know where all the soft spots are. They know where all the vulnerabilities are. Russia now has got the entire playbook, if they want to, for example, how to take down the U.S. energy grid.
Wonderful.
And there was a change of doctrine in the Obama administration, I believe it was 2015, in which we declared as a nation that a cyber attack and described...
Okay, let me stop there just for a second. And I'll ask you two guys, and anybody listening right now. We know Russia or China got into the massive grid on an unprecedented level. If, for example, it's determined that having once said this, what he just said, now that's out in the open, that's out in the ether, that's out in the public, that we find an enemy actor then takes down the national grid for what's left, is that worth war?
Absolutely.
You know, it's always different when you have kids in the military, and I do. But I have to say yes, that I do think that is any time that American citizens become vulnerable by the actions of a bad actor, they need to be dealt with, and they need to be dealt with swiftly.
Absolutely.
Because
I agree.
Potentially, I suggest an EMP or a digital hack to down our national grid would bring us back to the 1850s. The corollary question to that is, how many people in the United States today could survive in the 1850s? And what of any portion of our infrastructure is created to support the technology or lack thereof, or the agrarian systems required to operate skillfully in the 1850s?
Well, I can't speak for everyone, but I know I could.
I know you are. Okay, that's why I asked the question.
I grew up in a family where my grandfather taught me everything there was, about living in the woods. About my grandmother was great. To this day, if I got golden seal around and I'm starting to get a cold, I take some. So
absolutely,
I did it. But I'm telling you this, there is a large swath of Americans that couldn't do it because even if they knew how to take care of themselves, they couldn't do it because they're already in that bad of health anyways.
Yeah, that's true. Hey, it's a little bit after 10 o'clock on the left coast, and it's 1:02 on the east coast, which means it's right around midnight, a little after midnight central where you guys are. I want to remind everybody of this.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
And so we're going to continue with this.
It certainly would be a perfect fit with this situation, that it would be considered an act of war. What in hell is the U.S. government doing waiting to respond?
You know, I hate to say it this way, but, even though we have all a good idea, 2 days after 9/11, 24 hours after 9/11, we knew it was al-Qaeda. We can assign attribution. They're being very careful, I think, at this point, but you've got to be more transparent. What's going on? Who's affected? What's affected? What kind of steps should everybody be taking? But then to stop folks like China, to stop folks like Russia and Iran, you just can't pussyfoot around. You've got to hit back. They've got to unleash U.S. Cyber Command even more, let General Nakasone take his cyber troops and go on the offensive and start teaching some of these folks there is a price to pay if you attack the United States.
My point exactly.
Or there is alternatively the other possibility, that we simply lack that capacity and would have to respond in the physical world, not the virtual, to this attack and make the punishment. I don't know how you would make it other than an absolute destructive force in any way symmetrical to this assault on our systems. This is a cyber attack of nightmare proportions and apparently dimensions and longevity. Your thoughts as we wrap up here, Morgan?
The Russians are contesting this. Before, when you would find a bad actor in your system, they, okay, you caught us, we're out of here. This time, they are contesting the ability to remove them. That's why this insertion into the updates for SolarWinds, it is so hard. You cannot simply rip and replace all this software. It's either shut it off or cut it off, and neither one of those is a good alternative.
I also want to put a point on one thing, too, as we wrap up here, Morgan, and I appreciate your time. We just heard from the former head of CISA that this was the most secure election in our country's history. This is the very same intelligence organization inside.
Okay, stop right here while I interject Bull fucking shit alert. Bullshit alert. For those of you who just tuned in, bullshit alert.
Who had no idea that there had been a year-long, it looks like at least a year-long attack that is still ongoing, and we're listening to him say this was a secure election. Are you kidding me? If this is the situation we're in right now with the entire federal government, what in the world are we to think of the evaluation of this former head of CISA on a secure elections? I mean, that would be a light effort compared to what they're doing right now. Am I wrong?
It's been reported that Dominion Voting Systems also was a client of SolarWinds. So you start looking at where did the Russians go? What could they have done? You say that it's the most secure election because it's based on what you know then. What they did not know is, to your point, we had this campaign going on for at least 9 months, if not longer, penetrating some of the most sensitive areas of our government. They snuck in right underneath our nose, and it's like finding a burglar in your home that has been living in your house for 9 months. I mean, this is beyond just tragic, and we don't even know the extent of the damage. It will take weeks, months, maybe up over a year before we truly realize how bad the damage is from this attack.
Well, this is an intelligence of the Cyber Command. It is an intelligence failure of massive proportions. The potentiality of damage and destruction to this country is at this point inestimable. We hope it can be limited quickly. We suspect not. Morgan Wright, as always, your expertise is much appreciated. Thank you for bringing perspective.
Okay. Morgan Wright with Lou Dobbs. And first, let me ask you guys, Jeremy and Kate, do you have a couple more minutes to spare?
I do.
Okay. All right. Because I want to run a few more things. And I want to hit the story that Jeremy hit today. It's worth repeating again and again and again. And this will lead to my final question. I've heard these things from all over. Add to this the carrier groups that we know that have been placed off both American coasts. Eastern Seaboard, Western Seaboard. The rumors of Chinese troops in Canada. The indicator that an F-16 pilot was killed in a Michigan crash on Tuesday, December the 8th. And rumblings seem to suggest that he was shot down. There were also rumors of a nuclear Chinese sub captured off the coast of Nova Scotia, and that the Biden family is somehow linked to the cyber attack. These are all notions that I wouldn't kick out of my bed for eating crackers. How do we decipher all of this, Jeremy and Kate? Can we extract any information out of this? How do we interpret this?
Go ahead, Kate.
Well, that's a good question. How do you interpret it? What to do about it? I don't believe that anybody would like my suggestion on what to do about it. How to interpret it? Go back to the hub of the wheel. Find the common denominator.
Okay.
In any situation, I don't care if it's a crime family or a regular family, a schoolyard kids or whatever, find the common denominator and deal with the common denominator.
Okay, and in your estimation, who might that be? Who might you throw out on the table?
Who would I throw under the bus? I would probably throw under the bus the Biden crime family, the Clinton crime family, and the Obama crime family.
Okay.
And I would link them all together. If you look at all the evidence so far, all of this seemed to have allegedly started during the Obama administration. So what was left in our Pentagon? What was left in our Department of Justice, in the DOD? what was left from the Obama administration in these entities. How corrupt are they? My goodness, I could just go on and on and on, and we just don't have the time. Find the common denominator.
I'll go back further than that. We had $21 trillion missing dollars from the Pentagon from the year 2000 forward.
Okay.
I remember that. Yeah, okay.
I'm globalists in general, and I'm going to stick the Bush family in there.
Yes.
With the Clinton family, Biden family, and I'm going to say that they're just puppets to the bigger masters, which happen to be the curators of the world banks. And that's where I believe you go back to is, I mean, we have information, we have disinformation. Sometimes we have information that's half true and then disinformation to throw you off the trail. I mean, it is so bad, but this is what I do believe. We have a gut, and every time we're asked a question, I would say 99% of the time, we have a reaction, and I believe that that's kind of a guidance system for us. And we're to the point now we have to start using that. We have to curate that, make it better, because we're not going to get the truth otherwise.
But it also makes you wonder, knowing what we know now, and we don't know. We still don't know the half of it from 2016. We think we know a fairly decent semblance of it from 2016, when we have at least 50% of the country that doesn't even believe that that occurred, that doesn't even believe that, there were no problems in the election. I believe anything I hear over the TV. I watch the movie They Live. I know Rowdy Roddy Piper. I know he's the tinfoil hat-wearing conspiracist, as is BZ and Kate and Jeremy. And people, you still are not getting people to buy any of this stuff. They're not seeing what's right in front of their faces. So let's leap a little bit over into 2021 for the final wrap-up. January 5th, we know there are some questions to ask. January 6th, we have another critical point, a critical waypoint on the map. January 20th, we have another waypoint on the map. And as I learned last Thursday, March 7th is another waypoint on the map that absolutely no one knows about. So, going back to, again, January 5th, there's something else happening on January 5th. Not just the Pentagon and the CIA. What else is that? The Georgia election, the Georgia runoffs.
Yeah.
What kind of confidence do we extract from this election on November 3rd? Because this surely was confidence building, was it not?
Absolutely zero, none. I wouldn't tolerate it.
Confidence?
I was either. Yeah, there is no confidence because they changed absolutely nothing. The Dominion voting machines are being used again for this new election coming up, the runoff. Now, depending on what mainstream media stain you go to, some of them have the Democrats up, some of them have the Republicans up. It's disinformation at its max. I expect one Democrat to win and one Republican to win. That's what I expect.
Really? Okay. All righty. But I would tend to be with you, which is why I say also to the people of Georgia, anybody within the sound of my voice that happens to be either a Republican or a conservative, go out and vote. Go out for Loeffler and Perdue. Don't let the American media maggots try to keep you home. Get out and vote. The only way these shit sticks don't pull this stuff off anymore is if you go out and vote in such massive numbers that they're absolutely Reagan-esque. Here's a final story. This is one that you unearthed, Jeremy. This is from a guy named Dan Alexander, July 19th. Of last year. And you exposed on your show tonight, or today, Jeremy Hanson, how Attorney General Bill Barr built a $40 million fortune. Oh, wait until you hear this, folks. I know a lot of you have gone, but I still see a lot of you in chat, and you're going to love this story. Thanks again, Jeremy, for finding this.
No problem.
William Barr made his name serving as Attorney General for two presidents, George H.W. Bush and Donald J. Trump. But he made his fortune out of office, collecting more than $50 million in compensation as an executive and director for some of America's largest companies. Today, Barr, who did not comment for this story, has an estimated net worth of $40 million after accounting for taxes, personal spending, and modest investment returns. That figure is more precise than what's on Barr's public financial disclosure report, a document that deals only in broad ranges and shows assets worth somewhere between $24 million and $74 million. Okay. All right. Well, when, where, and how did this come about with Barr? The money started piling up around 1995, back when Bush left the White House and Barr re-entered the private sector, which is what politicians do, right? The next year, Barr became general counsel at telephone giant GTE when GTE merged with Bell Atlantic to form Verizon in 2000. Barr stayed on board as executive vice president and general counsel. From 2001 to 2007, he raked in an average of $1.7 million in annual salary and bonuses, according to documents filed with the SEC, Securities and Exchange Commission. Barr also received valuable stock options, some of which he traded while at the company, collecting an estimated $3 million after taxes from 2003 to 2007. So he, about this point, he could say the private sector has been very, very good to me. The Verizon job came with other benefits. Barr got a $31,000 flexible spending allowance, $10,000 or so for financial planning plus use of the company jet for personal purposes. The biggest benefit, however, came upon retirement. Barr stepped down from the company at the end of 2008, receiving a $17.1 million distribution from Verizon's income deferred plan, according to SEC filings. On top of that, company documents also detailed an additional $10.4 million separation payment for Barr. After that, I'm starting to conclude that William Barr might not be hurting so much for cash. Here we go. Retiring did not mean Barr was done working. The year after he left Verizon, he joined the boards of two publicly traded companies. Who might they be, BZ? Dominion Resources and Time Warner. Dominion.
No way.
That name sounds familiar. From 2009 to 2018, Dominion paid Barr $1.2 million in cash and granted him another $1.1 million in stock awards, according to SEC filings. Wait, did I say Dominion? I wonder where we've heard that name before. Time Warner paid Barr $970,000 in cash and $1 million in equity awards for serving on its board from 2009 to 2016, when the company agreed to combine with AT&T. That deal was lucrative for Barr. He disclosed $1.7 million of income related to it on his financial disclosure report. But the merger was troubling to Trump, whose Justice Department tried to block it. During his confirmation hearing, Barr promised to recuse himself from the case as Attorney General. Barr also served, you'll love this, Barr also served on the board of Oak Ziff Capital Management. Joining in 2016, the same year a firm subsidiary pled guilty to conspiring to violate the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act. Oak Ziff agreed to pay $412 million in penalties. It also paid Barr $190,000 in cash and $530,000 in stock awards from 2016 to 2018. The Attorney General no longer serves on the boards of Oak Ziff, Time Warner, or Dominion Resources. On the board of Dominion Resources. Now, let's see. Let's look back a little bit. Barr said he's not going to instigate a special counsel. Didn't Barr say something similar? I'm going to throw this out there into the ether for Jeremy or you, Kate, to respond. Didn't you, correct me if I'm wrong, did he not suggest something similar to, I don't think we need to look into this election thing. It's much ado about nothing.
Yes, he did.
He did.
Oh.
Yep.
As I've said for some time, smell test? Is your spidey sense tingling? And I've also said this numerous times. You can't write shit like this. So, Jeremy Hanson, tell people where you can be found and your show, please.
Now, come over to Spreaker.com, Unleash Jeremy Hanson, and we're starting Hanson Cast. I can't wait. That's going to be in 2021. I'm so looking forward to that. 5 o'clock, folks, we're going to have a good time. Usually you can catch BZ there and Kate there, and there's a bunch of great people over there. So come and join us.
Okay, this week, Jeremy Hanson, are you going to be on, let's see, what is today? Tomorrow, Wednesday, you're going to be on Wednesday and or Thursday?
Wednesday and Thursday, depending on when the wife has to work.
Okay. Alrighty, and Kate Kruszewski, thank you for being here tonight. Tell folks about your Facebook page and also about your show, please.
Facebook page is a private group called Survive, Thrive, Stay Alive. You have to be a friend of somebody who is in the group in order to be invited to the group. I am on psn-radio.com on Thursday and Sunday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. I will be having a show this Thursday night on Christmas Eve at 8 p.m. As we were doing this show, I just got a message from my producer, Angel Espino, letting me know that, yes, I will be doing a show Thursday night. It will be an amazing show. I will not be touching on the news at all Thursday night unless something huge and major happens. But the show is going to hit you where you need to be.
Good.
On Christmas Eve night.
Good. What's the show called again?
PSNradio.com.
What's it called again?
Around the Campfire with Kate.
Okay, Around the Campfire with Kate. Jeremy Hanson, you'll be on tomorrow. Thank you very much for being here, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you, BC. Thank you, Kate. It was a great show.
I think it was fabulous. Kate Kruszewski, thank you ever so kindly for being here tonight, madam.
Oh, thank you. It was an honor.
I'll see you next year.
Yeah, we all will. All right.
Thank you.
Folks, thanks for being here. I greatly appreciate it. Yeah, he did. He's like a 16-year-old doing that. I'll see you next year, dude. Okay. All right, got it. So, and we go this way. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, thanks for listening to the Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show. Right here, live and direct on the SHR Media Studios and the network. If you want to contact me, you can find me at BZEP on Twitter, at BZEP. I am really active on Twitter. I haven't been killed very much on Twitter, so that's one of the reasons I'm still there. Hey, guess what? Promotional consideration is by the Lockheed Martin Skunk Works, don't know for how long, and also by the Boeing Company, if it ain't Boeing, I ain't going, and also by Pratt & Whitney Engines Thrust. You can trust Tiaras by My Little Pony. Thanks to my personal KC-135 Kettle One refueling team, with whom I shall be consorting in less than an hour. Guaranteed. Especially after this show. So thanks to everybody. Thanks to Jeremy Hanson for being here tonight. Thanks to Kate Kruszewski for being here tonight. Thanks to you for listening live. Have a great weekend. Not going to be here Thursday. I'll be here Tuesday. We're going to be talking about dogs and animals. God bless.
Everybody quiet down now and get some sleep.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, Mama. Good night, Ben.
Good night, everyone. Good night, Mama. Good night, Daddy.
Good night, children.
Good night, Daddy. Good night, Elizabeth.
Good night, John Boy. Good night, Jim Bob. Good night, Jim Bob.
Good night, Jim Bob.
What's going on? I was asleep. What's everybody doing?
Good night.
Good night, Jim Bob. Go to sleep.
Good night, and good luck.
Merry Christmas to all, and to all, a good night.